You do that?
Developer Camouflage made a name for themselves on PSVR when they released Marvel's Iron Man VR back in 2020. But long before Camouflage had us taking to the skies as Tony Stark, they had us tapping iOS screens trying to help a young girl named Hope escape an oppressive underground facility. Republique has made the rounds on various platforms throughout the years, from phones, tablets, PCs, PlayStation 4, and even the Oculus Go. But now is finally landing where it might have always belonged, on PlayStation VR.
Okay, let's go.
Republique VR takes a minute to get going with some long dialogue sequences and non-interactive cutscenes. And the reason I'm starting this review off telling you this is because you really need to be in the right mindset to enjoy Republique properly. There's a lot of exposition here. And if you want to take in all the additional dialogue, story, and audio logs, well, get comfortable, because it's way too easy to start skipping through it all, cutting off one voiceover just to start another. And then if you're like me, you'll end up somewhere in Chapter 3 wishing that you'd slowed down and absorbed it all along the way, instead of rushing through just to get back to the interactive stuff. Because while I highly doubt that anyone will walk away from Republique raving about innovative gameplay or stealth mechanics, I do think the story here is something special, and one you'll think about for a long time after it's over.
I got something.
Now, just because you've seen all these stealth mechanics in other games before, it doesn't mean they're not implemented well here. This is about as close as you're going to get to Metal Gear in VR, at least for the time being. The level design is extremely well thought out, and once you get the hang of everything, you'll feel pretty dexterous, creeping around, hopping in and out of lockers, causing distractions, and it's extremely satisfying making your way from point A to point B, totally undetected.
So I will keep the key for safekeeping until the two of us...
Helping Hope escape the facility means you'll be doing two main things throughout the course of your 10 to 12 hour adventure. Firstly, you'll be Hope's guide, and as her guide you can hack surveillance cameras, which will be your way to view the game world in first person. Jumping from camera to camera gives off some OG Resident Evil vibes, but will also allow you to see each room from different perspectives, study the guard's patrol route, and find safe passage for Hope. Tapping R1 will freeze the action and highlight anything of interest in the environment. Here you can learn about the guards, unlock doors for Hope, and scan items in the room. And if you don't switch cameras manually, the game will automatically switch cameras for you. And 9 times out of 10, this will cause you to lose track of Hope. Sometimes it's just for a second while you reorient yourself, and sometimes it's a bit longer. So do yourself a favor and get into the habit of hitting R1 and pausing the game immediately whenever the perspective changes. That way you can reassess the situation, see where the guards are, and figure out your next move. It's a much slower way to play the game, but this more methodical approach will keep you from getting caught, and save you time in the long run.
This may surprise you, but I wasn't very popular in high school.
Controlling Hope, though, is a different story altogether. You move her around with the analog stick, which is never a problem in the bigger open areas. But when you're trying to be stealthy, a lot of her movements come across as clumsy. She'll stick to walls when you don't want her to, and when the camera angles change, it's too easy to start walking in the wrong direction. And when you're trying to sneak up behind guards and pickpocket them, sometimes the risk just isn't worth the reward. Because of this, there's a big part of me that wishes I could have played the game from Hope's perspective in first person, and then jumped into surveillance mode only when necessary to help her along. But that's just not the case, and these are things you'll get accustomed to. And just like everything else in Republique, it'll require quite a bit of patience. There is a decent sense of progression here, though, because even though Hope is generally defenseless compared to someone like, say, Solid Snake, you can find pepper spray and tasers to incapacitate guards when things get hairy. And as you progress through the game, the more abilities you can unlock. So soon you'll be able to hack emails, voicemails, cause distractions, and probably most importantly, you'll get an X-ray ability that allows you to see guards through walls. If you're the kind of gamer looking to get the most for your money, there's actually quite a few ways to play Republique. First, there are 4 different outfits you can equip before starting, and each of these actually affect the game significantly. There's her default clothing, which is basically normal mode, a speedrunning outfit that allows you to move faster and has a running stopwatch, a Prizrak enemy uniform that allows you to blend in with the guards, and the schoolgirl outfit that should be considered the most difficult way to play since it disables autosaves, thus relying on the old Resident Evil method where you have to collect tapes and find save spots. Adding to the replayability are 100 pieces of developer commentary strewn throughout the game that were all recorded during development. But there's so much stuff to discover on your first playthrough that I'd actually recommend turning this off and saving it for your second time through.
Alright, continue with the guard station.
So you get Hope to she'll automatically kind of go around to there and...
Yes, so...
Graphically, Republique is kind of all over the place. There are moments where you'll stop in awe at the architecture and beautifully designed rooms, and other moments where you can tell that the graphics just weren't nearly as much of a priority. And Republique's mobile roots do become apparent in some unexpected places. Like whenever a door opens, you realize you can't actually see the next room through the door. Just a flat JPEG representation. It looks good overall though, and I think if you play this for yourself, you'll wonder why I'm getting caught up on so many of the small issues when there are so many good things to say about the level of detail here. And I guess it's because that the bad stuff, when present, kind of stands out like a sore thumb next to the quality environments.
Whatever you do to me, they'll be watching.
Seismograph recording the shockwaves.
Okay, so I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, which is why none of the footage I'm about to show you will match up with anything I'm about to say. But when I played through Republique the first time and chose the paths that I chose, I didn't experience any major bugs. So when I published this review yesterday, I was surprised to hear anyone say anything about the previous VR versions of this game having major issues that still hadn't been addressed by camouflage. And suddenly I got nervous that maybe these issues could be present in the PSVR version too. So yesterday I jumped back in and played the entire game again from start to finish, choosing any alternate routes I could find. And in the 5th and final chapter, there's a major decision you make. And if you choose to side with the dude instead of the woman, and yes, I'm being intentionally vague here, you'll get caught up in a broken game loop. It's a huge bug that'll keep you from ever being able to finish the game, and your save file will be too far along to restart the chapter, forcing you to start the entire game over.
And though I was born into a world already in progress,
Did you go?
So here's the deal. Republique on PlayStation VR might be the best way to play Republique, and as a game I never really cared about before, I'm so happy that I finally saw the story through to its conclusion. The addition of VR made me feel more connected to Hope, like she was really relying on my help to get her to safety. So despite one big, massive game-breaking bug that you might not even encounter, I really do think it's a game you should play. There's a great story here that's super relevant in the Facebook age, and is never afraid to throw in bizarre twists that you'd only ever find in a video game story, which I love. And when everything finally clicks, the stealth mechanics become fun, and you can focus on collecting every last item in the game. Sure, it's not perfect, but for $15, it's definitely worth checking out, and playing through at least once.
This is where wheat beats. This may come in handy.
You've found a videotape.